Die afgelope weke is daar deurlopend koerantberigte oor surrogaat-moederskap. Dit volg veral nadat 'n enkellopende vrou van Kaapstad na 'n jarelange gerompslomp besluit het om die regering voor die hof te daag om 'n surrogaatbaba van haar keuse te hê. Die wette is egter taamlik ingewikkeld en ons het dit goed gedink om met 'n kenner hieroor te praat. Ons gas is Robynne Friedman, 'n regsgeleerde in surrogasiereg en self ook die ma van 'n surrogaatkind. Welcome, Robynne.
Thanks so much.
Robynne, is surrogacy a good and a viable option for parents who can't have children?
Surrogacy is the most amazing process for couples who are not able to have their own children, especially for your gay couples, your male couples. This is the only means by which they can have a child related to at least one of them. And also for your moms who have serious illnesses, who are unable to carry a baby to term, it's really the only option other than adoption, which is particularly difficult in this country because being a white or a Chinese or an Indian couple, you're not going to be able to adopt a baby if you're choosing a baby of the same race.
Yeah.
So it's really a wonderful process, provided that it's done correctly from the outset. It's an incredible option for couples today.
What do our laws say about surrogacy?
Well, our laws are quite specific and very conservative with regards to surrogacy. The biggest difficulty that we have with our law today is that the commercialization of surrogacy is disallowed, which makes it particularly difficult for us to find surrogate mothers for our couples. Yeah. Because, you know, it's particularly difficult for a surrogate mom to come forward and just be absolutely altruistic about it. You know, you can understand when a surrogate mom comes forward, she would want to be able to do that altruistically for a sister, a sister-in-law, a cousin, somebody close to her heart. But for a surrogate mom to come forward and just act as a surrogate for a complete stranger is quite a rare find. We really do struggle to find them. So we need some kind of motivation,
yes,
you know, to put them forward, to bring them forward for our couples. But the law is very strict on the commercialization of surrogacy.
So that essentially means that if you step forward as a surrogate, you're not allowed to be paid for your services. Is that correct?
That's correct. The commercialization is completely prohibited. The legislature took it one step further and they actually made it into a criminal offence. So you could be potentially prosecuted as the couple, myself, the attorney, and the surrogate mom, should, you know, vast sums of money be changing hands. And the surrogate mom is only allowed to earn her loss of earnings.
Yes.
It's generally a small amount of money that's paid to her. It's days sick leave, it's maternity leave, should she require that, bed rest. It's only those days taken out of work, and that's really it. And then out-of-pocket expenses relating to the surrogacy process itself. And then she's reimbursed, obviously, for all her medical expenses that the couple will carry for her.
Yeah. Who is allowed to be a surrogate?
Look, firstly, a surrogate mom has to be medically healthy. She has to have a there can't be any serious medical condition. She can't have high blood pressure. She can't be on any form of chronic medication. And also, what is of utmost importance to me, beyond everything else, is her mental health.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure that she can see this process through, and that there's not going to be any stressful situation which will trigger off any kind of psychosis during the pregnancy. So, and also the other qualifying factor is that she has to have a living biological child of her own, which means that she can't have a child she may have given birth to a child a few years back where she had to give the child up for adoption. That's not permitted. She has to have a child who's living with her, and that already minimizes, you know, it cuts off a vast portion of the population as well, yeah, who are coming forward to act as surrogates.
What happens should the surrogate decide after they've given birth that they don't want to give the child back to the parents, that they've formed such a bond during the pregnancy that it's just not going to happen, that I'm going to give your child, biologically your child, back to you?
Well, firstly, there's a very important and an incredible provision in our law. The one amazing aspect of our law is that what happens before the actual couple, or I keep referring to couple, but the same applies to if you've got a single person, yeah, going through a surrogacy process. Before they can even start the artificial fertilization on the surrogate mother, me as the attorney will have to go to court and I get what is called a declarator order. Now, the effect of this declarator order is to declare the couple to be the parents of the child before we even start the artificial fertilization. So the surrogate mom has absolutely no leg to stand on legally. She cannot lay claim to this baby. But when you speak about myths of surrogacy, I think that is a big myth, that the surrogate moms actually bond with a baby. Surrogates do not bond with a baby. When you have a surrogate that approaches a couple, they come forward and they know from the outset that this is not their baby. They're doing this altruistic gift of love, gift of life for this couple. And they don't form a bond to the baby. You know, they go through intensive screening before the surrogacy process starts, psychological screening that is, just to make sure that there is no connection that they are already forming. And the bonding that normally takes place is with the couple, with the parents. That's the bonding. That's the friendship that evolves out of the surrogacy process. It's never with the baby. Well, very rarely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Robyn, is it an expensive process?
You know, even though you're not allowed to pay a surrogate mother, surrogacy is not for the poor. It is an expensive process. If I had to give a ballpark figure, this is a very broad-based figure. I think you're looking at about 250,000 Rand per surrogacy process. I think the bulk of the cost lies in your artificial fertilization process that happens at the fertility clinic, or we call it in vitro fertilization. That is incredibly expensive. I mean, IVF is not covered by medical aids generally, with the exception of one. So it's an incredibly expensive exercise. You have to cover the medical aid for the surrogate mom for a duration of at least a year. There's life insurance that takes place. There's her loss of earnings. There's her traveling expenses. There's maternity clothing. So it's expensive. It's
got to be something you really want. Thank you so much for joining us, Robyn. We will put all the information so that if people have any questions, our viewers, they can go and have a look at our Facebook page and see what the process entails and maybe contact you if they need to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dit was die prokureur Robynne Friedman, ook die fasiliteerder van die surrogasie adviesgroep.